What a WrestleMania. Bisexual Taker is the new champion. Bayley and Io Sky was a magnificent match. I Show Speed got RKO'd. Cody finished the story. I love wrestling. WrestleMania 40 was great. It might be recency bias, but this one may be my favorite WrestleMania that I've personally watched. I got into wrestling around 2012. My first episode of WWE was actually Raw's 1000th episode. Before that, however, I was shown a bunch of random WWE clips from friends, and my older cousins were locked in on WWE back when Undertaker was Teddy Long's trump card.
Tonight, you will go one-on-one with The Undertaker!
When I got into wrestling, that adoration would quickly transcribe onto Roblox. I can recall times I had my mom's laptop in the living room playing WWE on Roblox while watching WWE on the TV. It was a prototype of the Family Guy Subway Surfer sludge we have today. Anyways, this phase of my Roblox playing was short but sweet. Roblox Wrestling probably ate up most of my time during that time. However, my passion and interest for it kinda died when both my mains got deleted, and even without that, I was losing interest once I got into other stuff, like the forums or other games and communities. My video will detail to you some occurrences and random tidbits of Roblox wrestling culture. Wrestling cosplay was weird back in the day. Clothes weren't as refined or as highly detailed as today, and UGC did not exist yet, so hat and hair options were limited. Hell, there used to be a 3 accessory limit for the longest time. The restrictions kind of made it scuffed but charming. It was really cool to see how good or bad you could make a wrestler.
Oh my god.
Look at his pecs.
Why did they only do that with a hand?
Ovals. Little fucked up fucking ovals.
Some wrestlers were harder to recreate than others. When there was an avatar that worked, it was awesome. Tyler Flynn, or Duff Flinning, is the game dev behind 2011 Smackdown vs. Raw. That was the wrestling GOAT game. This game was the most popular, and this one was my own little wrestling home. It never ever left the front page in its heyday, technically. It was on the sports genre game page back when genres were a thing, and the sports genre game page was pretty niche, and a lot of the wrestling community was dispersed into clans with their own arenas, but we'll get to that in a bit. Point is, despite it being niche, it was still pretty popular, relatively speaking. It was a role-playing game with some interesting PvP elements. You had role-play augmenters and tools like the Michael phone, the face tool that doesn't work now, and the shitty phone that never ever worked ever. You had the clothesline that would push people back but do no damage. It was the go-to weapon that people whipped out for Royal Rumble or Battle Royal matches whenever the server agreed to do one. There was the fist PNG tool that would stun people and sit them down, and finally the punch tool. Wrestling games on Roblox always had this weird punch tool. It was a shiny red cylindrical thing that would float above your arm. It was pretty much just a sword. Imagine a sword. Old Roblox wrestling games, if you took all the role-playing elements away, was just a sword fighting game. The way the game played out was weird too. Mixing role-play elements into fighting can work on Roblox. Just look at something like Electric State Dark RP. But with something so narratively driven, like wrestling storylines, it just gets weird. Because of this, people kinda, not really, established a little code of honor thing. Don't spawn kill, and only really begin fighting when you go to the ring. This was obviously broken many times by many different people, but there is an attempt. A big part of the Roblox wrestling scene, since its inception, were wrestling groups. They were numerous promotions and clans all operating with their own rings, their own stars, and their own rules. Back in the day, a lot of sketchy promoters would congregate, usually by spawn, and they would not fight. They would just solicit people for group joins for their promotions. In my opinion, these groups were kinda lame. The allure of wrestling games is to be anybody, whether it's an already existing entity or character, or your own little OC. That not only applies to Roblox wrestling, but just wrestling games in general. Your stardom is infinite. or as good as your fighting ability. In wrestling clans, though, it's not so easy. They're so rigid and prone to politicking and hierarchical shenanigans. I could say I'm the best and that I'm the world champion, and no one can take that away from me. If I pulled that in a wrestling clan, I'd probably get chewed out, even if I'm trying to spark a storyline or something. I remember this guy, Cbot100 or Alfeox. Just a tangent. Why did clan people always use stupid ass names like Alfeox? That's so stupid. Like, it sounds like a dumbass alien name from a stupid sci-fi franchise that will die on release. Like, it doesn't mean anything. Oh, look, it has an X in the name. I'm so cool. It's so dumb. So dumb. Like, every clan member who was tryharding would change their name to something stupid like that. Or make an account to have a name be something stupid like that. A stupid name like Alfea. Never mind. Anyways, this guy was one of these shady promoters. I think we may have had an affiliation before this exchange. I'm not sure. But he was asking me to join his wrestling group. I declined and provided a list of reasons. He went reason by reason and gave rebuttals. The exchange basically boiled down to me being like, I don't know, I think clans are dumb. Somehow that turned into him saying, like, do you just hate wrestling or something? Why do you hate wrestling, huh? Like, well, you think wrestling sucks? Like clans, wrestling, what? Didn't have a response for him. I was systematically bested by his logic and facts. So in defeat, I joined his clan. My tenure with his clan was pretty meager. I think he lived on the East Coast or something because he'd always host meets and shows when I was in school or sleeping in because it was summer or something like that. I didn't stick around long, mainly because I did not get any allotted time, mainly because of the time zone thing. But I also recall him being more attentive to his traditional clan than his wrestling one. On the rare occasion I joined shows, there'd always be a bunch of lackeys from his normal clan popping up to talk about clan stuff in the middle of our shows. He was not focused on the wrestling troupe. I left on my own terms, and I don't think I ever talked to him after that. Wrestling is serious business. Because of the PvP aspect and the general feud-heavy culture that wrestling backstage and a lot of wrestling storylines have, it's a breeding ground for just weird, cantankerous interactions. Like a game where you punch people with a floating red cylinder was this mega serious affair. There's bad blood when you piss people off. I was pissed off. I remember a lot of scuffles with randos would be constant goalpost moving and just meanness. Cheap shot.
Type killer.
Spawn killer.
Okay, that's RP instead if you don't want to actually fight.
I'd hit my elbow drop. 1, 2, 3. I win.
Nope, I'm not honoring that.
Why did you even agree to RP in the first place? Like, why
Dude,
would you
like,
even
what
invite
the
me
hell?
out
You
here
fucking type
and
killed me.
cheap
What are you
shot me and
talking
just do
about,
all this
dude?
weird
Like,
shit
it's so
because you
bad,
can't
bro.
even
It's
fight
so bad, like, you can't even...
RP. Then rinse and repeat. I don't know why I was so heated. Just play 2K14 like anybody's saying, little healer. Smoke some weed, little healer, like chillax. I made a lot of Roblox ops in the wrestling scene. Most beef started and ended within a single play session, but there's a few people who stick out to me. I'll detail them now. This guy sucked. Not in the ring, he was actually pretty good. I think head-to-head, he had the better of me by a decent margin. But he was such an asshole. I barely remember his name, but I remember his aura. For all you basketball fans out there, imagine Michael Jordan's obsessiveness with Kevin Garnett's trash talking. That was him. I remember if you ticked him off, he'd relentlessly focus you, spam the chat with all caps trash talk, and would not stop and keep going on for hours and hours. His behavior mirrored the modern day Slender. He would have fit perfectly in today's community. Fortunately for me, he and I never crossed paths all too often. I think I might have actually consciously avoided him if I saw him. I actually recall one time searching his name and finding a YouTube video of him getting absolutely owned in a Wild West game. The video's author was shit-talking him pretty harshly in the description. Seems like he made a lot of enemies back in the day. I don't think Simple Thought's active anymore, judging from his profile and items and stuff. Maybe the toxicity and hatery got to him. Who is to say? This one stings. I didn't get the last laugh on this guy. There isn't a YouTube video of them getting owned that I can live vicariously through. I know if we 1v1'd back then, I would have beaten him easily, but I didn't. I got screwed. To all my wrestling fans, you heard of the Montreal screw job? Well, get ready for the healer screw job. If I remember correctly, we started off as friends. He and I vibed with each other pretty amicably. I remember he invited me to his wrestling group, not as a shady promoter, but as a friend. This friendship would not last long. One of my matches with him was with a tag team. Me and Orlando versus him and Orlando. It was a standard wrestling tag team fight. I got tagged in, and important detail, I thought his teammate tagged him in. I kill NX879 and he just starts freaking the fuck out. I immediately got kicked from the server. He was going megalomaniacal on my ass, which I thought was stupid. I thought he was tagged in. And besides, has he not seen a hot tag before? It's so stupid. I tried reasoning with him, telling him I thought he got tagged, and he kicked me again. I then said he was being a baby, throwing a tantrum, stop being so emotional, gets even madder, and he kicks me again. Then I try to argue semantics and just, to be honest, just berate him. He then finally just puts the dagger in and I get banned. He told me specifically that I was banned forever. Even after all these years, it still kinda stings. Imagine being so megalomaniacal and self-absorbed, you gotta go on a power trip rager because of a Roblox incidental KO. Like, it's wrestling, it ain't that serious. It was accidental, it ain't that serious, and it shouldn't matter in the first place. Throw away a little budding friendship to protect your own ego. NX879 screwed me. Screwed? You wanna talk about screwed? You should talk about that time Bill Goldberg kicked me in the head. I'm just like Bret Hart. I'm bitter after all these years.
I finally realized that they screwed me. They really screwed me, the lousy bastards.
After all is said and done, doesn't matter. I don't think we ever crossed paths after this. He was too focused on his wrestling clans and LARPing as Aces and Eights Bully Ray, and I was going my own way. This one is just funny, no bad blood at all. Even at the time, I just thought it was unique. One time on the Smackdown vs. Raw 2011 game, I was role-playing as Wade Barrett. I somehow managed to wrangle like half the server to become Nexus guys. It was all going well and good until some random-ass Brock Lesnar showed up. He would rush up to you, attack and kill you, and then leave to kill somebody else. He was Wrestling for me kind of died around 2014 or 2015. So basically the dev era. Even though the game was kind of old, the 2K rebranding and modernizing with Tyler Flynn's game killed my interest. My two mains got deleted, so all my wrestling clothes I bought went poof! Also because of that deletion, I lost access to a wrestling group I owned. I did not have the adult liberty of Robux whenever I wanted, so I couldn't just get Builders Club and reclaim the group. I remember posting about it in passing on the forums, and some fat nerd claimed it under his war clan. Asshole. Not only that, wrestling was kind of getting old. As much as I love Seth Rollins now, his non-finished bullshit booking against Dean Ambrose and his tenure as world champion in general made me seethe as a kid. Also, a lack of comeuppance for the Authority after WrestleMania kinda killed my interest. CM Punk leaving made me sad at the time, and I just wasn't interested in the programming anymore. I eventually got back into wrestling in mid to late 2016, but my interest for Roblox Wrestling did not come back with it. I'm not sure what the scene is like now. Maybe it's prosperous, maybe it's dead. I would not know. To end off this video, I present to you subscriber submitted wrestling stories. BreeZ details their time playing Roblox Wrestling. The game I played had boxing gloves, a WWE game, and they looked like toy ketchup bottles. Not to mention the game allowed custom decals and audio for intros. One player had his intro as distorted rock music, a picture of a rubber duck, and despite this weird presentation, he was able to win a good portion of the time. Thanks for your submission, BreeZ, and thank you for watching. Have you ever been in the Roblox wrestling scene? What did you think of it? Leave in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. So yeah, I don't know. Thanks for watching. Bye bye. Bye bye.